This presentation is a short introduction to fair use, an exception to the copyright laws that allows the creative use of excerpts from copyrighted works. Without fair use, YouTube wouldn't be nearly as much fun. I hope you find this presentation interesting and useful. The Copyright Act gives copyright holders the exclusive right to reproduce works for a limited time period. Fair use is a limitation on this right. Fair use allows people other than the copyright owner to copy part, or in some circumstances all, of a copyrighted work, even where the copyright holder has not given permission or objects. Fair use enables the creation of new culture and keeps current copyright holders from being private censors. Copyright law embodies a bargain. It gives copyright holders a set of exclusive rights for a limited time period as an incentive to create works that ultimately enrich society as a whole. In exchange for this limited monopoly, creators enrich society by, hopefully, contributing to the growth of science, education, and the arts. However, copyright law does not give copyright holders complete control of their works. Copyrighted works move into the public domain and are available for unlimited use by the public when the copyright term expires. But even before works enter the public domain, the public is free to make fair uses of copyrighted works. By carving out a space for creative uses of music, literature, movies, and so on, even while the works are protected by copyright, fair use helps to reduce the tension between copyright law and the First Amendment's guarantee of freedom of expression. The Supreme Court has described fair use as the guarantee of breathing space for new expression within the confines of copyright law. Whether a use is fair will depend on the specific facts of the use. Fair use is decided by courts on a case-by-case basis after balancing the 4 factors listed in the Copyright Act. Those factors are shown on the slide. When considering the purpose and character of the use of copyrighted work, courts look for a transformative quality. Is the new work the same as the copyrighted work, or have you transformed the original work, using it in a new and different way? Courts have also looked at whether the new work is commercial or non-commercial. Will you make money from the new work, or is it intended for non-profit, educational, and personal purposes? Commercial uses can still be fair uses, but courts are more likely to find fair use where the new use is for non-commercial purposes. The nature of the copyrighted work is also a factor. A particular use is more likely to be considered fair when the copied work is factual rather than creative. Another factor considered is the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. How much of the copyrighted work did you use in the new work? Copying nearly all of the original work or copying its heart may weigh against fair use, but how much is too much depends on the purpose of the second use. Parodies, for example, may need to make extensive use of an original work to get the point across. Courts also consider the effect of the new use on the potential market for or the value of the copyrighted work. This factor applies even if the original is given away for free. If you use the copied work in a way that substitutes for the original in the market, that will weigh against fair use. Uses of copyrighted material that serve a different audience or purpose are more likely to be considered fair. These factors are guidelines. They're not exclusive. As a general matter, courts are often interested in whether or not the individual making use of a work has acted in good faith. Many types of uses have been found to be fair. Here's a small sample. A book publisher used several stills from the famous 1963 footage of President Kennedy's assassination for a historical book, 6 Seconds in Dallas. Time Incorporated, the owner of the footage, sued the book publisher for copyright infringement. The court ruled that the publisher's use of the stills was fair and reasonable, in part because the use was based on a factual and historical news event, and it was considered to be commentary. An episode of the TV cartoon Family Guy made fun of comedian Carol Burnett's image and signature characters from her 1960s comedy variety show. A court ruled that the use was fair, in part because the Family Guy episode was designed to parody Carol Burnett as a public figure, using a relatively small percentage of copyrighted material, and it would not substitute for the original in any market. The Washington Post newspaper used 3 brief quotations from Church of Scientology texts that were posted on the internet. The court found the use to be fair, in part because the newspaper excerpted only a small portion of the work, and the purpose was for news reporting. American artist Jeff Koons used a portion of a designer photo advertisement, actually a model's legs in Gucci sandals, amongst a collection of iconic images in his painting Niagara. The court held that the painting's use of the copyrighted images was a transformative fair use, in part because it was a work of art that commented on fashion and consumer culture. A biographer of author Richard Wright quoted from 6 of Wright's unpublished letters and 10 unpublished journal entries. The court found that the biographer's use was fair, in part because the biographer's purpose was to educate and inform the public, and his use constituted less than 1% of Wright's unpublished letters. A major electronics manufacturer developed a videotape recording device that allowed the consumer to time shift, to record a complete TV program in real time and hold the show for later viewing. Several major film studios filed a copyright infringement suit against the electronics manufacturer, claiming the device could be used for copyright infringement. In 1984, the Supreme Court held that time shifting with a VCR qualified as fair use. The courts noted that the private, non-commercial home taping of free television programs for later viewing was not infringing and didn't hurt the market value of the copyrighted material. More recently, a Google search engine turned the photos on a subscription-only website into thumbnail images for its search results. The court ruled that Google's use of thumbnail photos was highly transformative, since the search engine changed the image's original purpose of entertainment and aesthetics into providing Google's users with links to images.